Good afternoon. This is Ralph Brandt from the Fireside. I'm going to start off by telling you I'm probably 5 minutes from being called a conspiracy nut, but I'm still going to talk about this. I don't know how many of you remember, but there was somebody called Strzok and Page back in 2016, and they had some email exchanges. They were in the government, I'm not sure exactly where, but their exchanges had to do with what they could do to stop Trump from winning the election. And it pretty much included anything that they could do legally within the government. And maybe, like the Dukes of Hazzard, a little bit more than the law would allow. And they did. Unfortunately for them, they did not stop Trump. I honestly do not know where those two people are in the government today. The fact that they are probably still there worries me just slightly. Matter of fact, more than slightly. If they have any control, I cannot imagine that their activities today are any different than they were in 2016. And maybe they're a little better at it. I shudder to think that there is today a Strzok and Page in the government, and yet I'm sure there are. I shudder to think that two like them would be in the Secret Service. And yet the more I look at the attack that killed a man a little over a month ago, might have been initiated by someone like Strzok and Page. I know that seems far-fetched. See, the significance of that shooting in western Pennsylvania carries more impetus than the attempt on Trump's life. That is bad. Let us not ask any questions. It's not only bad because he was presidential, because he was a presidential candidate, but it's also despicable that somebody was willing to attempt to take the life of someone, and in fact succeeded in taking one life and injuring three, and two of them seriously. Let's face it, either one of them, or Trump, or all three, could have died. And there are two ways to kill someone. I can go out here and take a gun and shoot somebody. Understand, I don't plan to do that. That's beyond me. But you can sometimes kill somebody by neglect. And if you're in certain positions, that negligence is easier to just sort of sweep under the rug. I want you to seriously take a look at some, and I will not, this is an abridged list. The Secret Service did not have aerial surveillance. And by the way, the Butler County local police had it and offered it, and it was declined. Why? The Butler County police offered them radios so that there would be communications. They were declined. Why? I do communications, I'm semi-active now, for search and rescue. There is one thing that we hammer, and that is no call can go unanswered. That person who's out there who's calling you may just want to know if there's fresh water somewhere when they come back in, or anything else that's not too significant. And then again, it could be a call that says, I just took a step and I'm in mud up to my butt. And that call needs to be answered right away. And that comms officer does not know when that first call comes in, unless the person is screaming, what's going on. The call must be answered. By declining those radios, the Secret Service declined that piece of knowledge. Rich Gasaway, one of the finest men I've known, who wrote a book, The 51 Best Ways to Kill a First Responder. What a name. Studied for his doctorate degree on fireground safety. By the way, he's one of the few that holds that doctorate. And that was his doctoral thesis. And it comes down to it that there are 3, not 51, good ways. Oh, there's 51 ways. But if you want to kill a first responder, communications, training, situation awareness. If you don't train effectively, if you don't communicate effectively, and you do not maintain situation awareness, you're way in line to kill somebody in a first responder situation. And by the way, if you take care of those 3, your chances drop from some level to 8% of that level. The other 48 ways to kill a first responder account for only 8%. What did the Secret Service do? They cut off communications. They lost situation awareness totally. And who knows if there weren't training failures in that. I do other events. We don't communicate a lot by cell phone. We do some communication by cell phone, but most of it is by radio. There's a reason. If I put out a radio call and I say this is what's going on here, there is situation awareness the whole way around the team. Everybody hears it. I put out a text. Even if I put out a group text, everybody has to look at their phone. What are they doing now? They're not paying attention to what's going on around them. That sniper on the roof is now looking at his cell phone for instructions and not paying attention to what's going on. I haven't done a verification on this, but I've seen several articles that say that the Butler County sniper got the guy. Sure, the Secret Service sniper hit him the second time, but the Butler County guy got him first. Let's see, the Butler County guy would have been on the Butler County radio system. So he would have been looking for him while the Secret Service guy was maybe looking at his cell phone. That couple of tenths of a second could have made a difference. Now, would have been happier if the Butler County guy had got him earlier. But earlier is better than later. Also, let's not lose the fact that someone lost their life. And there are other failures. The lack of aerial surveillance. When the Butler County offered to fly their drone, you know what? They may not have seen the guy. I will take that. But you know, you throw enough mud at the wall, some of it sticks. You let enough holes and something goes through. There's a thing called Swiss cheese effect that's done in airline disaster, and I think other disasters. And that is if you have a thing that will stop the event from happening, but there's a hole in it, someplace where it just won't work right, and you have another one, unless the holes in each one of those line up, it doesn't happen. Well, at Butler County, the holes in the Swiss cheese lined up. And that's what happened. There was enough things done wrong And unfortunately, when we start to look at it, almost every one of those came from the Secret Service. Inadequate preparation, inadequate briefing, which is kind of training, inadequate situation awareness, poor communication. And it was those things gone to seed that allowed that 20-year-old kid with no training in much of anything to get past an organization that gets $3.3 billion a year to protect people. Now, Secret Service keeps saying doing more with less, but they're doing less with more. Inflation adjusted, their budget keeps growing. So they're doing less with more. Second thing, some of their technology is, put another way, yesterday's technology today. But quite frankly, the most effective technologies that would have possibly stopped this, very likely have stopped this, were number one, radios that have been around since the 1970s, and drones that have been around, well, okay, 10 or 15 years. And this kid flew a $40 or $100 drone to check out the area. Unfortunately, the Secret Service was asymmetrical and did not do aerial surveillance. And they left a building that was within range, unguarded. Okay, it was guarded from the inside. Come on. And there were people yelling that there was something wrong. And there was no situation awareness or communication that was effective. I will say this. One thing that I really think the Butler police did wrong, and that is when the guy had the gun pointed at him and come off the roof, fire one shot with the pistol. That would have gotten everybody's attention. It might have distracted the shooter enough that he wouldn't have. But you know what? I may not have thought of that either. It's very easy to sit in a nice, cool, air-conditioned room that's quiet and second-guess that guy who was out there, who stuck his head up above the roof and found a guy pointing a gun at him. I think I might have been a little rattled at that point. And I'm not real happy to blame him too much. Not only that, he's just fallen off half off of a roof. Give the guy a break. There's a couple of other aspects going on here that are kind of disturbing. I have seen this personally with, I'll say it, Pennsylvania State Police. They tend to look down on other organizations a little too much. The dumbest police officer in the state of Pennsylvania, standing at the right place, would have noticed that shooter on the roof. The dumbest. And just maybe he would have been the one who thought of something to sound the alarm. Law enforcement cannot put each other down just because we're superior. And quite frankly, the superiority complex exists in the Secret Service. There have been open mics with comments that say that. That cannot be. If you want to see a place where this does not exist, or if it does, it's kept very well squashed by the leadership, not by people, by leadership. Go out and search the YouTube and look for a guy by the name of Grady Judd, the sheriff of Polk County, Florida. This guy is awesome. And there are very few people I will say that about. And by the way, there are 2 or 3 other sheriffs in the area down there that I think have got infected by him. A good infection. He will do a press conference. And if you watch one of his press conferences, you'll see it. His force of deputies is the best there are. That neighboring police chief and his force are the best there are. The state attorney that works with them is the best there is. And he tells them they're the best they are. And he tells the population they're the best there are. And he builds those people, and he builds relationships with them. I think if he asked one of those deputies to walk through the wall, the guy would try it. I may not succeed, probably won't succeed, but I think he'd try it. Because he knows Grady wants him to excel. And I have seen him also fire and jail 3 of his deputies who did something totally wrong. And he made the statement, if we cannot police ourselves, we can't police the community. And there's another younger guy, taller, not quite as polished, about 1 county over, that every once in a while works with him. By the way, they work together. They chase people across the county line. Yeah. That's a model. And I'm going to say this about local. I don't know that we have quite that level of cooperation here in the York County area. That level, be careful with what I said. But I've seen some good indications of the cooperation. So it may be a little quieter. Grady may be a little more vocal. But right now, looking at the attempted assassination and the death of 1 person, wounding of 2 others, I'm ready to make a couple of bold statements. Number 1, whoever planned that needs to be thoroughly investigated. Make sure that their loyalties are not where it has impacted their job performance. Number 1. Secondly, I believe in the old Exxon thing. Retrain, reevaluate, and replace. You retrain the person, they don't get better. You reevaluate the situation, you replace them. I think someone there, and it's more than one, messed up. I think it's at 2 levels. I think it's at the tactical and the strategic. The strategic planning on how to do these events. When you have communications on a cell phone, someone is not looking. Someone who's making those strategic decisions does not understand the tactical situation. That's number 1. Number 2, someone who was working on setting up the tactical situation apparently didn't understand that a 20-year-old kid could get a rifle and fire from 130 yards and hit something. And that just boggles my mind. And the fact that a sniper is sitting looking at a cell phone to get instructions rather than continually scanning the area is a terrible strategic move. It's just absolutely horrible. I cannot fathom it. And I now start saying, was the person who set up that strategy named Strzok, and the person who set up that tactical situation's Page. Well, no, I know it wasn't Strzok and Page. Was it two lookalikes? Or act-alikes, I guess would be better to say. I don't know. And I know I'm going to be branded as a conspiracy theorist. But doggone it, one of the ways of taking Trump out of the race is to kill him. That's harsh. Doggone it, that would have taken him out of the race. And now you come back to one question. And that was the command that was given to Joshua Chamberlain at Gettysburg in July of 1863. And it was a statement that was almost mimicked by one of the ones that I believe it was Strzok made, that will do whatever it takes. Joshua Chamberlain was told, hold this hill at all costs. And he asked, what does that all costs mean? And he got answered, if one member of the 20th Maine is alive holding this hill this evening, you've succeeded. That's at all costs. You still hold the hill, but it doesn't matter what you've lost. What does the statement, no matter what it takes, mean? Does it mean we put out all of the waybills that we can to advertise the other candidate? Or does it mean we run smear campaigns? Does it mean we falsely accuse the person of Russia collusion? Does it mean we suppress evidence that would have been terrible for the other side? Gee, how about the Hunter Biden laptop? How about some of the other dealings with Ukraine that were known but weren't put out? Oh yeah, gee, maybe, just maybe, it was whatever it takes. And now we roll ahead to 2024, and I say, if it's whatever it takes, do we just, by indifference, see if we can create something? I think it's called depraved indifference. Hello. Yes, it is. Yes. Yes. Okay. Now, here's what's happened. I should have gotten an extra supply before I left you cancel that. I just say left you before you canceled it. And it's taken forever to get Express Scripts on board. Okay. This has been an ongoing since January. Okay. And they finally have said, oh, we're shipping it. Well, but their shipping time, they say, is, well, no, they're getting ready to ship it. And that's 6 days. So I ain't expecting to get that for as much as 10 days right now. So I do need a short supply. I've got 2 days left. Okay? All right. Yeah. Now, would prefer vials to the pens, but right now I'm not going to rock the boat on that. Yeah. No, there's about 4 problems with the pens. First thing is it's more expensive. Secondly, I have a little bit of arthritis in my hands, and believe it or not, a syringe is easier for me to handle. Number 3, with the pen, I am also taking another insulin. With the syringe, I draw two of them in the morning, 1 needle. With the pens, I wind up with 2 needles in the morning. Okay, there's just it's it's not a big thing, but quite frankly, it's about $100 a year just for the needles. Okay, and and I'll be honest with you, I can afford it, but I don't want to. Okay, and the big thing is that it's easier for me to handle than the pens. I have trouble with my thumb putting enough pressure on it. Is what it amounts to. Okay, and well, we're going to find that out before we do anything else. Okay. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Yep. That's fine. And the right. And the mail order one, uh, that's going to be pens, which I don't want. But I am not going to do anything with that until I get and the worst thing is it's only going to be a 30-day supply, not a 90. I don't know why that was done either. I don't know why they went to 30-day supply because they have to ship it in a cold pack. That means 3 cold packs every 90 days. There are just things here that do not make sense. But and well, by the way, I can't call the pharmacy. Yeah, I can call the insurance company, but I can't call the pharmacy, or at least if I can't find a number on them. Which, okay, now my personal is that I usually like to see the whites of their eyes. That way I communicate better. The telephones down low. What? I have not found it anywhere. Oh, well, that will be just absolutely fantastic. You're becoming my hero real fast. Go ahead. Yeah. Okay. That's good. That's good. By the way, I yeah, yep. Till we can figure something else. Oh, one thing, they only gave me 3 pens, which is only an 18-day supply. Okay, and I don't want to do this again. Also, I'd like to have a little bit. If they can go for 5 pens, that's also a box. It's nice. The gal was out there trying to count out 3 pens for me and all that kind of crap. Now, 5 pens would 3 pens is not a 30-day supply. Okay, a 30-day supply would have to be 5 pens because I get roughly 6 days out of a pen. Actually, I don't think it's six. I think it's 5, but that's okay. Yeah. So I don't know why they downed it to the, but let's not worry about that. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. And I don't care if it goes to the wrong Walmart. I'll drive it unless it's in. All right. All right. By the way, sure. Thank you. Bye.